I'd like you to pair up with somebody and find space in the room and stand facing them at what is for you a reasonably comfortable distance. The experiment I want to offer you is that you experiment with moving towards and away. So moving towards, moving away, being moved towards and being moved away from. And just notice the changes, if any, in your sense of your physicality, of your breathing, of your contact with the ground, your emotions. Just do it very slowly and just notice what happens. With some pairs it will be close enough that you will touch, with some pairs it won't be. Now maybe take some time to share with each other what your experience of doing this has been. And notice what distance you stand in order to do that. See, take some time just on your own to think about how what you have just experienced might say something about your way of relating, your way of being with other people, your way of making intimate relationships. What might that do to clarify or elucidate something of your process of distance and closeness? So take a few minutes just to do that.
It was very interesting because I noticed that what I do in my normal life is just jump into the closeness. No? Okay. This time, I was like this to go towards my partner, and she stepped on the back, okay? And she started to go in the back, in the back, in the back. And I felt at one point like, I can't breathe, you know? And so she stopped on one point, and I decided to go a little bit back, very far away from her. And until I felt like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna lose her, And so I decided to come back. Little by little, now I could stay like close to her in a very comfortable way. Because usually when I start to just go through directly at the beginning, I feel not comfortable. So I discovered that I need to have a look before to jump into,
The other thought I had listening to you talk, some people move very fast in because they desperately want to be very close. Some people move very fast in because other people move backwards. They elicit a pulling away, which is what they're actually wanting.
Yeah, I was very interested in and actually feeling quite anxious almost, or excited, not sure which, about this realisation that when I go when Evie was further away from me and could see all of me, rather than maybe just focused on top half of my body. I felt very vulnerable, and as if in that place I can't control what you're thinking about me, I can't manipulate you with my face, so I felt much more exposed, much more vulnerable and uncomfortable, and that's really quite surprising. I didn't realise how much I rely on being close to someone to be able to feel in control in a sense.
Fritz Perls was in his own analysis with Wilhelm Reich, who had a particular place in the development of psychoanalysis, bringing in the idea of embodiment as part of character and as part of therapy. He brought that into Gestalt therapy. Laura Perls was a dancer. She brought that into therapy. I would like to give a movement-based definition of Gestalt therapy, but I wanted to find a way of relating what I did directly to dance movement therapists. So this is what I came up with. I'm dancing with somebody new who I've never danced with before. Each of us have our own way of dancing that we're comfortable and familiar with. If the client has learned to dance in a strict school where it is dangerous to dance in a non-standard way, they will not only be wanting very much to dance in that way, but they will have acquired ways of inducting their partners to dance that way with them. If I attune, if I just dance the way they dance, it will feel very comfortable. We'll be going around the circle of what is acceptable to the dance school they want to. If, on the other hand, I impose my way of dancing, to be comfortable for me, it'll be yet another domination for the client. If we can slowly follow our movements and avoid the easy, comfortable answers, and are willing to step on each other's toes, or to have our toes stepped on for a time, we can eventually find a dance which is just ours, which will be an embodied statement of you and me in this moment. And in doing that, the client will not just learn another way of dancing, but will begin to rediscover their spontaneity. People who have read Daniel Stern's book, The Present Moment, will recognize probably an almost exact parallel to what I've just said. But the extra thing that I want to say is that for me this is not just a metaphor. We can do this in dancing as much as in anything else. So the experiment that you just did about closeness, it's the keeping of the distance or the pushing away. That is the statement of self, and that needs to be explored and engaged with, without needing it to change. So I think that's a very important warning. The paradoxical theory of change is very important in all this. The last time I saw somebody else do that, it was Gianni Franceschetti at the AAGT conference in Asilomar in California. He was doing a workshop on depression. So, working with depression, he did this demonstration. Somebody who volunteered to work with him on their experience of depression, they just did this. moving towards, moving away from each other, and exploring what happened physically with breath at every moment. And it was fascinating. He got a standing ovation at the end. And to do an exciting workshop on depression is not easy. Okay, I want to move into maybe a more theoretical, philosophical thing. I want to talk about the lived body. There's been a lot of writing and talking about the need to get away with just the körper, the physical body, towards the lived body. And away from the physical fields to the phenomenal field. For me, this is a reintroduction of Cartesian splitting into therapy.
Yes. Yeah.
If you go back to the first exercise, the first moment is purely physical, the körper, the sensitive body. And without that, without experience at that embodied place, at the skin surface and the organs of contact, as Paul Sefferland Goodman says at the very beginning, there can be no lived body. It is not just through our bodies that we know the world, it is through the world that we know our bodies. If there was no world, our bodies would make no sense to us. And the important thing is to hold the movement between the lived body and the physical body. The other way of saying that is we need to be aware of relationality and we need to be aware of drives. And we have often in Gestalt therapy polarized those. We've cut off the animal. There's a wonderful thing in the British Gestalt Journal by Archie Roberts, digging up the bodies, about exactly that. That we can, yes, choose what kind of intimate relationships we have. We can bring our human sensitivity to that. I think that human beings are animals as well as sophisticated social beings. I think that as a species we are the most aggressive species the world has ever known. There's plenty of evidence for that. But that aggressiveness is also the basis of our creativity. The two cannot be separated. We imagine a world that's different from the one we're in, and we can act to make that happen. We can make a building like this. We can make a workshop like this. And every therapist, every client has to deal with that creativity, aggressiveness, and find a way of bringing that into the embodied contact. The exercise that you did at the beginning is the Gestalt contact sequence, fore-contact contacting, final contact, post-contact, taken to its embodied root. The idea I'm wanting to put forward cognitively to you is that Gestalt therapy is primarily non-verbal. That the place of words is to point at a contact, but is not the primary contact itself. That unfortunately over the years, Gestalt therapy has become more and more verbalized, and the move towards dialogic therapy in a certain way of doing it has exacerbated that. And it's been to our colleagues from outside, the dance movement therapists, Daniel Stern writing about implicit contact rather than explicit contact, that have held that for us. But that's in handing that over to them, we have lost contact with our basic roots, which is about slowly finding our figure in the current field, exploring our contacts, our interruptions to contacts, where our contact wishes and our fears conflict with each other.